There's been a whole lot of talk about id Software's next title throughout the past year, and while I personally participated in the conversation quite a bit, I've always leaned a lot more towards Doom when it came to the upcoming game. But if I'm being entirely honest, I would actually prefer a new Quake game much more than a new Doom-related project, and it's starting to seem like the community is beginning to think in a similar fashion. I've held various community polls and discussed it pretty frequently in the comments, and while the discussions don't represent the community as a whole, it certainly suggests that a lot more players would either prefer a new Quake game or would be okay if one was released instead of Doom. With this rising interest in a new Quake game, I think now is the perfect time to explain why that would be a whole lot better than a new Doom, and maybe I'll end up convincing a few of you to agree with me in the process. And when I say new Quake, I certainly mean a game in the style of classic Quake. I personally think that making a game based around Quake 2 and 4 would be a massive mistake. Like, don't get me wrong, I think that Quake 2 is a good game, and Quake 4 is alright, but the general opinion in the community is that Quake 2 is terrible and Quake 4 doesn't even exist. They have yet to remaster Quake 2 and 4, so the community has more or less created an echo chamber of opinions on games we've never even played. So a brand new title based on two older ones that are currently poorly viewed by modern audiences may not do too well. Along with that, I'm personally extremely tired of seeing the same old space stations and military research facilities filled with possessed marines and aliens or demons. It's just a concept that has been done to death at this point and wouldn't feel as good in comparison to something pretty unique like the original Quake. And that's what this should really be about, trying to create a truly unique experience that really sets itself apart from the modern Doom games. Drawing very heavy inspiration from the original Quake, it could provide that sense of originality and uniqueness that would separate it from everything we've experienced before. Instead of seeing hell or an abandoned space station, I think that seeing dark dungeons and grimy castles could not only make for the perfect setting, but could also provide a truly haunting experience filled with tons of exciting new features and a brand new approach to the modern arena shooter formula. Having the game be set in this dark dungeon realm doesn't just come with cool dark fantasy aesthetics and matching enemies, it also comes with some pretty unique features and pretty solid map designs that could be re-implemented and improved upon. The days of non-linear level design and maps containing nothing but unique sections and gimmicks are nearly completely gone, and they don't really have to be. One of Quake's best features is the endless corridors filled with deadly traps that are often used against you, but on occasion can be used to your advantage. This is something that we can see featured very sparingly in Doom Eternal. The Cultist base has the swinging blades and Necrovault has the crushers, so just imagine if these were featured extremely frequently throughout the arenas and corridors. Having to constantly be cautious and intelligently avoid death traps could keep you on your toes while also elevating the experience by providing another level of interactivity and a different way to approach combat. This would be greatly enhanced if they took a step back from having the levels be nothing but arenas and focused on creating non-linear maps with more unique encounters than giant arenas. I mean, the arenas should definitely be present, there's no way we could avoid them even if we wanted to, but each arena could feel interesting, unique, and earned if winding corridors filled with tons of traps and enemies were found between each arena. But not only should the levels include tons of traps and tricks, but the roster of monsters should as well. The second official expansion for Quake, Dissolution of Eternity, includes two unique enemies that could play off the trap-filled dungeon concept extremely well. The Statue and the Phantom Swordsman are both enemy types that are designed to blend in with the environment and surprise the player, with the statues being living stone statues that come to life and attack the player, and the Phantom Swordsman being a sword hung on a wall that will detach itself and charge towards the player. Having random swords and statues come to life would add so much of a tenseness and help to keep you constantly ready for attack, especially if they're randomized. You would never know if a certain statue is going to attack, or if a sword would fly out of a corpse and stab you. It would be great for replayability and the overall experience. But, of course, you need a little more than just two gimmick enemies to return, and thankfully Quake has more than enough monster to fill the game's roster. It's also pretty convenient that all of them pretty much fall into the same sort of category system that Eternal's demons do. And with the way that id Software handled 2016 in Eternal, I figure that some sort of monster class system will be put into place. Even without the additional monsters that will undoubtedly join the roster, there's still tons and tons of returning creatures that they have to work with. The fodder category could feature the Zombie, Grunt, Enforcer, Rottweiler, Spawn, Rotfish, Electric Eel, and the Swordsman. Heavy monsters could include the Ogre, Scrag, Knight, Fiend, Gremlin, and the statues that we previously mentioned. The super heavy monsters, which is probably the best category, could include the Death Knight, Vorer, Wrath, and the Shambler amongst whatever else they decide to add. Seeing all of these monsters redesigned and reworked to fit the combat and modern levels would be an absolute dream, and you already know that id Software would do them justice. Just think about how they redesigned the Mancubus and Eternal. That kind of respect for the source material is just perfect. To go along with the hypothetical game that we've been crafting here, I think that a different sort of glory kill and melee system would need to be implemented to keep things fresh. Shadow Warrior 3, which released this year and was heavily inspired by Doom Eternal, featured its own unique version of the glory kill system that I think can be built upon and turned into something far beyond what we currently have. Shadow Warrior allows you to build up a meter and perform a finishing move that will let you rip an enemy apart and use parts of it as a weapon for a short period of time. Something brutal and unique like this could work super well in a game like Quake. It would fit the gritty and darker tones while not feeling like it ripped off Doom. Could you imagine being able to use a Shambler's arm as a makeshift lightning gun for a short period of time after tearing one apart? That could be an absolute blast if it was implemented properly. As for the regular weapons, I honestly can't really go in depth on the excruciating details. I'm more than capable of going on about dark themes, traps, and crazy monsters, but I don't know nearly enough about the inner workings of the id Software combat systems, so there's no way I could do this justice. I can just say that the nail gun and rocket launcher should absolutely take the place that the shotguns occupied in the recent Doom entries. Quake is always about its launchers and nail guns, and that shouldn't change just to cater to modern audiences. It's important to the franchise and needs to stay that way. Because of the lack of precise weapons in Quake's arsenal, I don't really think that weak points should return, but instead be replaced with a highly improved destructible monsters system. Doom Eternal didn't necessarily live up to the expectation of being able to shoot any demon's hand off to prevent it from shooting a fireball, so now's the chance to fix that. Being able to shoot an ogre's chainsaw off its body or prevent a shambler from zapping you by blowing up its arm would be crazy, and I know a lot of people would love to see that increased score system along with the staggering that we all know and love. So, in case you dozed off or skipped parts of the video, all that we'd really need to have a perfect reboot of Quake that could provide a refreshing break from Doom is just a combination of new and old. Merging the good stuff that we've loved since the 90s with all of the improved systems and graphics for modern Doom, all while sprinkling some new in there may just give us the best id Software experience that we've ever had. But that's just what I think. I'm pretty curious to know what you think about the ideas presented in this video, so let me know down in the comments. Just try to keep in mind that all of the ideas I've outlined here are just that, simple ideas and concepts for a new Quake game that could be better than Doom. There's no guarantee that any of this will come true, it's just a discussion video that I had a lot of fun making. I did publish a video similar to this a little over 6 months ago, but I wanted to revisit the subject and talk about it in ways that I didn't initially. If you enjoyed this sort of longer and higher effort discussion video, then be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Doom and Quake content. Any support is appreciated, even just a review on this video, so thank you for watching. That's just about everything I have to say, so I guess that's it for now. Until next time.